Part 35. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 341. Gotham Police Department, small meeting room. Hey, officers, I've received more complaints than you. These are all caused by the damn gangs. Police Chief Victor complained while sitting on a chair. Recent complaints from taxpayers have made him anxious. Manhattan gangs are becoming more and more lawless. Don't worry, Victor, we will warn them. Jerry, who is in charge of Chinatown, said casually. Only if you are sick will you care about those gang members. As long as there are no casualties among ordinary American citizens, no one will care about the life and death of those gang members. The Gotham City gangs have now formed fixed rules, and the Gotham City police have acquiesced to their behavior. The gangs also try to avoid ordinary people when doing things to avoid causing too many casualties. Now Victor wants to break the current rules. Not only does he disagree, but the chiefs of other police stations are also afraid that they will oppose it. Sure enough, other chiefs have expressed their opinions, saying that it is better for the gangs to solve their own problems. If they intervene rashly, it will cause unnecessary trouble. Victor had to suppress his thoughts and temporarily give up discussing this issue. As for Alex's request, he might have to wait a little longer. After receiving the news, Ao did not dare to delay and went directly to Li Qing's room. He knew that his elder brother must have important things to tell him. Ao, I got the news that the female killer last time will make another move in the near future, Li Qing said softly while smoking a cigarette. Ao's eyes condensed. Last time I let her run away, this time I must catch her no matter what. Call you here to see if there is any way to deal with her. If I strike first, are you sure? Li Qing wanted to solve the danger in its infancy. After all, he was in the open and Perkins was in the dark. If he wanted to assassinate Perkins, Perkins would have many opportunities. He called Ao here because Ao, as an elite of the Hong Kong police force in the past, must have some understanding of the methods of these killers. Ao shook his head. Brother, the killer is very alert, and the method of striking first will not work. Perkins is a famous killer on the list, and his alertness is not comparable to that of ordinary people. The two brothers who just died proved this point. They were discovered by Perkins just by following her for a few hundred meters. Li Qing closed his eyes and tapped the table lightly. Ao, if you use me as bait to set a trap, can you catch her? Li Qing said in a deep voice. Brother, it's absolutely not possible. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. You can't make any mistakes. Ao hurriedly stood up, trying to make Li Qing dispel this idea. Li Qing waved his hand and asked him to sit down. The two brothers can't die in vain, and we can use the trick against them. Doesn't Vig want me to die? Haha, then I will die for him to see. Li Qing smiled sinisterly. Ao was stunned and instantly understood what his brother meant. Fake death? The Damao gang will definitely relax after getting the news, and then we will take the opportunity to take down several of their strongholds, Li Qing thought while stroking his chin. Now the New World and the Damao gang are already at loggerheads, and one side must fall first. Since the other side wants to kill him so much, he will set a trap for the other side to fall into, use the trick to let the other side relax their vigilance, and then launch a surprise attack. Chiu-Gong Ao nodded. Brother, I think this method is feasible, but your safety. He still felt it was too risky. Haha, you can't catch the wolf without sacrificing the child. If this plan succeeds, it is possible to take down the Damao gang in one fell swoop. Although it was a bit risky in the eyes of others, Li Qing knew that now, as long as it was not a large caliber sniper rifle, it would not penetrate his skin at all. Ao nodded, thinking secretly that he must protect his brother. Ao, what method do you think the other side will use to assassinate? Brother, the most likely one is long-range sniping. There are many assassination methods, but those suitable for big guys like Li Qing are very limited. After all, no matter where he went, there were a bunch of people following Li Qing. So the opponent had to use poison or sniping, and the success rate of other methods was too low. If poison was used, the food that Li Qing took in was now taken care of by a special person, and the success rate was not high. So there was only one way left: long-range sniping. Okay, AO, I'll leave this matter to you. AO nodded. He already had a plan in his mind. He would find a place with a familiar terrain, surround all the sniping points, and arrange his own people around. He didn't believe that Perkins could not be caught. 2 days later, in the early morning, Li Qing drove away from the villa with Zhang Dongzhou and Crow. In a car on the side of the road 2 kilometers away, Perkins quickly dropped the pizza in his hand, started the car and followed. Finally out, I've been eating pizza for 2 days and I'm about to vomit. Perkins waited in the car for 2 days and felt that she was full of pizza. In addition to solving personal excretion, she lived in the car for 2 days. And in the Mercedes-Benz in front. Crow, are you ready for the blood bag I asked you to prepare? Crow quickly took out a prepared blood bag from his bag. Brother, be careful, it's full of syrup, it'll get all over your hands if it gets broken. Crow carefully handed the blood bag to Li Qing, which he had specially obtained from a film company. Huh? How do you know it's made of syrup? Did you taste it? Li Qing took the small blood bag and looked at it carefully. It was the first time he had seen this thing. Me? No, Dongzhou tasted it. Crow waved his hands repeatedly, indicating that he was not that stupid. But Zhang Dongzhou next to him had already pointed his index finger at him. Oh, Li Qing said softly. Brother, you don't believe it? It's really Dongzhou. Crow looked at his brother's unbelieving expression and explained. Yes, I believe it. Are we almost there? It's just across the street. Zhang Dongzhou carefully identified it. Is a gin ready? Li Qing arranged everything yesterday. As soon as the news came out, Gao Jin immediately led the New World members to prepare to attack the base of Daimao. Yes, a Jin took people out early in the morning. AO is also in place, Zhang Dongzhou reported. Li Qing nodded. Soon they arrived at a hotel and Li Qing entered the room that had been prepared long ago. Looking at the big foreign horse with blonde hair and blue eyes, he was stunned. Didn't we say that we should pretend to talk about business? Why did we get a woman here? At this time, Perkins had just climbed to the roof of the opposite building and looked at the 2 people in the room through a high-powered telescope. Shit, you're dancing so hard so early in the morning, aren't you afraid of dying of exhaustion? Perkins cursed fiercely. What she didn't know was that many New World members had sneaked up downstairs. In the room, Li Qing sat on the sofa, looking at the beautiful woman in front of him. My beautiful lady, what business do you want to discuss with me? Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 342. Perkins looked at the high-power scope angrily. The woman on the opposite side blocked Li Qing intentionally or unintentionally, making it impossible for her to aim. Mainly because of the woman on top and the man on the bottom, she couldn't find a chance to shoot. Suddenly Li Qing tilted his head, and Perkins found the right opportunity to shoot, and the hotel glass shattered instantly. In the field of view of the high-power scope, Li Qing subconsciously covered his head, and blood leaked from his fingers. Perkins looked at the sniper rifle in his hand in disbelief. So easy. It seems that Li Qing escaped last time, it was really luck. Then she saw the woman screaming in the high-power scope, and then she was sure that Li Qing should have been shot dead. Perkins smiled and squatted on the ground to pack up the sniper rifle, and dialed Vig's phone. By the way, Vig, mission accomplished. After saying that, he hung up the phone without waiting for Vig to reply. Hey, I thought it was a difficult character, but I didn't expect it to be so easy. Perkins licked his fingers and began to take off the silencer on the sniper rifle. The sound of footsteps downstairs made her feel a little strange. Perkins dropped his gun and walked quickly to the stairs of the rooftop, only to see some people wearing bulletproof vests quietly coming up from the stairs. Shit, how come these people came so fast? She knew that the people on the other side must be from the New World, but she didn't expect them to come so quickly. She took out her pistol without hesitation and started shooting at the people who came. Unfortunately, most of them hit the bulletproof helmet and bulletproof vest, and only one unlucky guy was hit on the foot. Seeing this, Perkins knew that there was no chance to escape from the stairs, so he took out a bundle of climbing ropes from his backpack and wrapped it around the flagpole on the rooftop. Quickly tied a knot on his body, holding the pull ring in his hand, and began to slide down slowly. Bang! The sound of a sniper rifle sounded, and the bullet hit the wall next to Perkins, and the splashing cement blocks scratched her face. Damn, sniper rifle. She knew that if she continued to slide down with the rope, she would undoubtedly become a living target. There is still more than 6 meters of height, but there is a trash can full of garbage below, Perkins thought to himself, then gritted his teeth, took out a dagger and cut the rope. Pop! Another sniper rifle sounded, brushing past Perkins' arm, bringing up a piece of flesh and blood. At this time, Perkins had already landed on the garbage, looking at the wound on his arm. Damn it. Now she dared not delay for a moment, judged the position of the sniper rifle, and fled in the direction of the sniper rifle's blind spot. Li Qing climbed up from the bed and looked at the bullet hole next to the pillow. If he hadn't quickly blocked it with his body, he would have been exposed. Li Qing wiped the sticky syrup with the sheets, thinking, it's so realistic, it should be able to fool Perkins. Suddenly, he felt the syrup on his head being licked, and Li Qing looked up and saw that it was an actress who was acting out a real play. The actress was also aroused by Li Qing's big club. Good acting, go on. Li Qing smiled evilly and became interested. He was just teased by this beauty, so he wanted to dance well this time. Indescribable screams came from the room. Just as Li Qing was enjoying life, Vig also happily danced tango in the room. Vig, are you sure Li Qing is dead? Avi still didn't believe it. This is too easy. If you know, wouldn't it be better to send a killer earlier? Avi, do you think Perkins is easy to hire? The killers on the killer list now accept orders based on their mood. Vig looked up and looked at Avi proudly. This time, he was in a good mood because he had removed another stumbling block, especially for a big boss like Li Qing. His reputation will rise again, and he may even be able to compete with the Gotham City Mafia. However, Avi, you should inquire about the movements of the New World now. If Li Qing is really dead, I believe the New World will be in chaos now. Vig said cautiously. It's not that he doesn't believe Perkins, but this kind of thing needs to be confirmed before the next plan can be made. Avi glanced at Vig, picked up the phone and started to contact the younger brother who was following the New World to inquire about the situation of the New World. A few minutes later, Avi put down the phone and laughed and said, Vig, now all the backbones of the New World are rushing to the hospital. It seems that Li Qing is in danger this time. Haha, the three of them have never failed. Vig held 2 glasses of wine in his hand, and handed one to Avi, and the two touched the quilt. Now while they are leaderless, you lead people to wipe out all the strongholds of the New World. Remember, we don't want the territory, we want to completely eliminate them. Vig took a sip of wine, squinted his eyes and said in a deep voice. These days, the Big Hair Gang has suffered setbacks at the hands of the New World, and its reputation has fallen a lot, and even other gangs are beginning to stir. Just take this opportunity to regain the lost face. He wants the whole Gotham City to know that the Big Hair Gang is still the Big Hair Gang. Okay, Vig, I'll make the arrangements. Avi said excitedly. In just half an hour, Avi gathered a large number of people from the Big Hair Gang, even half of the Big Hair Gang, and began to head towards the New World's base. At the same time, the New World also received the news, and everyone withdrew from the base and began to gather together according to the plan. Just waiting for the Big Hair Gang's base to be empty of troops, and then attack Huanglong directly. The base of the Big Hair Gang is different from the New World. Each base has a large amount of funds and drugs. If it is really burned down, the business of the Big Hair Gang in Gotham City will be paralyzed. You should know that there is more than one gang eyeing the Big Hair Gang. Brother Jin, when do we start? The younger brother asked impatiently. Gao Jin looked at his watch. Half an hour ago, more than a dozen commercial vehicles and about 100 people went out of the Big Hair Gang's largest base. There should be nearly 100 people inside. Wait 10 minutes. According to Gao Jin's estimation, the other party has almost reached the base of the New World. I wonder what they will think when they see the empty base. 10 minutes passed in a flash. Action, Gao Jin waved his hand, and the entire team of more than 50 people moved forward in an offensive formation. Regardless of whether there were people or not, more than a dozen grenades were thrown first. The roar of high explosive grenades sounded, and the people in the room were blown to the ground without even a groan. No one would have thought that the Daimao gang would be attacked, especially now that the enemy's New World boss was killed. Enemy attack, enemy attack. The shrill cry resounded throughout the stronghold. At the same time, the other three strongholds of the Daimao gang were also attacked. The enemy seemed to have calculated the emptiness inside the Daimao gang and attacked directly. The Daimao gang had not even reacted before a large number of people were knocked down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 343. What? You said Li Qing is dead. Meng Xuan, from the Hungmen headquarters, stood up and looked at his men in shock. Grandpa, he should have been assassinated. Now the Daimao gang's troops have arrived at the stronghold of the New World. The subordinates scratched their heads and reported. Meng Xuan paced back and forth in the room. After Li Qing died, all his plans were in vain. Originally, I wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the fight between the tigers. I wanted to see how far Li Qing could do it. I planned to come out to help and get some benefits when the New World couldn't support it anymore. He never imagined that Li Qing would die so easily. Oh, I'm still too young. How could I be unprepared for this situation? Look at me, I don't even go out now, no one can find a chance. Meng Xuan shook his head regretfully. He was still too young. As a big boss, wouldn't it be better to just be a little less? Blame me, I acted too late. After the Daimao gang evacuates, you can take people to the New World stronghold. Brother Li Qing is no longer here. I have to contribute no matter what to protect his foundation. Meng Xuan looked compassionate. Everyone under his command. The Daimao gang rushed to Chinatown and looked at the empty New World stronghold. Apart from some furniture, there was not even a human figure inside. A gust of cold wind blew up a pile of fallen leaves. Avi seemed to understand something. At the same time, he also received a call from his younger brother. What? 3 strongholds were attacked at the same time. Avi received a call from his younger brother. The 3 remaining strongholds of the Daimao gang were attacked at the same time. We were fooled. Avi threw down his phone angrily. Take it back now. The Daimao gang quickly evacuated and began to rush back. But it was already too late. Gao Jin and others had already broken through the largest stronghold. Due to mental arithmetic but no intention, coupled with the emptiness inside the stronghold, the Daimao gang did not last long at all. Bang, bang, the sound of supplementary gunshots continued to sound in the stronghold. Gao Jin looked at his watch and said, "Hurry up, everyone, we will evacuate in 10 minutes. It has been 15 minutes now, and the other side should have received news that the stronghold was attacked. The journey from Chinatown to here takes about half an hour. The booby traps are arranged." Booby traps are a method commonly used by Gao Jin and others in Java battles. They usually place a grenade under the corpse, tie the grenade ring to the corpse, and fix the other side half in the soil. As long as the body is moved and the tab falls off, the grenade will explode. In order to increase the power of the grenade, New World members also placed a circle of steel nails around the grenade and fixed it with tape. Basically, it covers all directions within a range of 5-6 meters, even if you are not dead or disabled. The time bomb is also installed. This time, the members of the New World also brought a large number of C4 time bombs. According to the request of the eldest brother, Li Mao will not leave them any leftovers in the stronghold. After 10 minutes of arrangements, New World began to evacuate in an orderly manner. It is actually inaccurate to say that it was an evacuation. Instead, they ambushed the Da Mao gang on the only way back. Fortunately, the Da Mao gang's stronghold is in the suburbs, otherwise it would be difficult to ambush. Gao Jin lay down in the grass and saw a dozen cars hurriedly coming here from a distance. "Here we come, get ready. Remember the rocket launcher goes first." Gao Jin squinted his eyes and looked at the approaching convoy. The boy next to him nodded, skillfully shouldered the rocket, squatted on the ground, took aim, and fired in one go. The rocket flew towards the lead car with a tail flame. Avi, who was in the back seat of the car, watched the rockets flying from a distance. He subconsciously threw himself under the seat and two words came to his mind: "It's over." Then my head hurt and I fell into darkness forever. The lead car exploded instantly, and the entire car flipped over to the ground and turned into a burning fireball. The vehicles behind saw this and subconsciously braked, followed by a series of rear-end collisions. "Free fire!" Gao Jin said loudly. The members of the New World stood up from the grass and faced the living targets on the car. But after only one round of bullets, they began to evacuate. After all, we can't treat the police as non-human beings. It's been so long. I believe the police are already on the way. If we delay any longer, I'm afraid they will be blocked by Furbali. Withdraw. The New World members were well trained and evacuated quickly. Although this round of shooting lasted only a short time, it killed a lot of people. Although the car door was used as a cover, it was not a bulletproof car after all. For 7 rifle bullets with good penetration, it is not good enough. This group of people did not expect that New World would be so brave and dare to ambush them at their doorstep. The group of people, who suffered heavy casualties, drove to the stronghold. There were corpses everywhere in the stronghold, and everyone was familiar with them. Unexpectedly, in just over an hour, people were separated forever. This made the Slavs, who had always been known as a fighting nation, feel a little scared. Just as they were immersed in grief, there was a beep sound in the house and explosions occurred all over the stronghold. The air waves generated by the explosion directly tore some people into pieces, lifted up the bodies on the ground, and triggered booby traps. Continuous explosions sounded in the stronghold of the Da Mao gang. Gao Jin sat in the car and looked at the firelight from a distance, with a smile on his lips. Perkins held his injured arm and kept walking through the alley. This is a slum with complex terrain. She deliberately ran here to get rid of the enemy. I didn't expect this group of people to be so difficult to deal with. They have been chasing them for more than 20 minutes from the hotel to here, and they still haven't gotten rid of them. Damn it, Perkins looked pale and looked at his bloody arm. Before the enemy arrived, he quickly took out his belt and tied it on his arm as a temporary tourniquet. Just after finishing all this, rapid footsteps sounded in the alley behind him. She knew that the other party was looking for blood. Perkins gritted her teeth and analyzed the surrounding situation. She knew she had to get out of here as soon as possible, otherwise she would be killed sooner or later. She used her last strength to rush out of the alley, because there was a bright taxi parked outside the alley. Taking 3 steps and 2 steps, he came to the taxi and quickly opened the door. "There's someone here." "I'm waiting for the customer," the taxi driver said without looking back. "No more now, drive quickly." Perkins waved his gun at the driver. When the driver saw Perkins' pistol in the rearview mirror, he immediately didn't dare to say anything and quickly ignited it and started it. Ding ding ding, several bullets hit the trunk of the taxi. Apparently AO and others were chasing after them, and the guns in their hands kept shooting at the taxi that was getting further and further away. "Oh, shit, who are those people behind you?" "Terrorists," the taxi driver said in fear. "You don't need to know, go to the Continental Hotel right now." Perkins already felt a little dry in the mouth, which was a symptom of ischemia. "Oh, the people behind are catching up." The taxi driver looked in the rearview mirror and shouted. "Drive well, or you will die if they catch you." Shit, bad luck." The taxi driver used his familiarity with the terrain to successfully get rid of Gao Jin and others. The taxi stopped steadily in front of the Continental Hotel. "We're here, ma'am." Perkins managed to open his eyes and took out a few $100 bills from his pocket. "The extra ones will help you repair your car." Stumbling into the Continental Hotel, she felt relieved. The Continental Hotel was the safest. "Oh, Miss Perkins, you don't look good." Karen, the black receptionist, looked at the bloodstains on Perkins' body and said with concern. "Karen, prepare a room for me. Please call the doctor service." Perkins took out a gold coin from his pocket and put it on the bar. Bang, the hotel door was opened, and AO and the young master walked in. "Perkins, you can't run away." The young master looked at Perkins with an evil smile, finally catching this bitch. "Sir, don't blame me for not reminding you, this is the Continental Hotel." Karen raised his head and glanced at a few people. "Ms. Perkins, room 808. Big damn." AO stopped the young master from cursing because he felt that everyone in the hall was watching them and put his hands in his pockets. AO stepped forward and looked at Perkins intently. "You'd better never come out. The Continental Hotel can't protect you." Perkins raised his eyebrows, not caring about AO's provocation. AO tilted his head and said to the black front desk, "The New World says hello to you." Then he led the young master and others out of the Continental Hotel without looking back. Karen looked at the backs of AO and others with an inexplicable expression. "Miss Perkins, it seems that you have caused big trouble." Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 344. After AO and the others disappeared in the hotel, Perkins managed to walk into the elevator. After opening the door of room 808, he could no longer support himself and sat down on the ground against the wall. The other party came from nowhere and chased her like a mad dog. As a professional killer, she did not completely get rid of him. As Karen said, she was in big trouble this time. Buzz. The mobile phone in her pocket vibrated rapidly. Perkins took out his mobile phone and looked at the number, rolled his eyes, and answered the call. Vig's irritable voice came from the other side. "Damn it, Perkins. Didn't you say that you have solved Li Cheng? Just now, all the bases of the Big Hair Gang were attacked." "Shit. Now everyone can realize that Li Cheng is not dead, but pretended to be dead to paralyze Vig and others. The Big Hair Gang has suffered heavy losses now. The New World is like a passing locust, leaving them nothing. In particular, the D products were burned, and the cash and jewelry were looted. Now even the Gotham City police are looking for trouble with Vig, because the burning and volatilization of drug has made people in the surrounding streets excited, obviously high. Shit, Vig, you shit. Li Cheng has a professional team around him, and I was almost beaten to death by them. Damn, Your information is not accurate at all. Perkins looked at his bloody arm and couldn't help cursing. There was a silence from the other side, which made Perkins think that the other side hung up the phone. I only heard Vig take a deep breath. Perkins, now is not the time to argue, so you go to assassinate again. Shit, get out of here. Perkins hung up the phone before Vig finished speaking. Still going? Now I can't even walk out of the hotel door. I'm afraid that there are people from the New World lying in ambush outside the hotel. On the other side, Vig, whose phone was hung up, had his blood pressure soar. Damn bitch. Vig cursed angrily. Avi. Boss, Mr. Avi is dead, the younger brother next to him reminded. Vig patted his head, then remembered that Avi died under the rocket, stammered his lower lip, and said nothing. The whole room fell into silence. Vig never thought that he would fall to such a level. He was still in the upper hand just a moment ago, and only a few hours had passed. Avi, a close partner, was dead, all the bases of the Daimao gang were lost, and nearly half of the Daimao gang members were killed. He had never felt so helpless. Damn New World, damn Li Cheng. Boss, the car is downstairs, let's go quickly. I'm afraid the people from the New World are already on the way. The subordinate whispered. Well, let everyone go to the secret passage and prepare for a sneak attack at night, Vig said in a deep voice. Now New World has completely taken the initiative and is clearing out the Daimao gang members everywhere. If it weren't for AO's mobile team to chase Perkins, I'm afraid Vig would have been killed by the mobile team long ago. Vig looked at his room, took out parchment and notebooks from the safe, and poured himself a glass of whiskey. He drank a full gulp, threw the rest of the wine on the bar, the bottle broke and the wine splashed. Let's go. The cigar in his hand fell on the wine. Boom, a raging fire ignited on the bar. Li Cheng's villa, lobby. Brother, Perkins escaped to the Continental Hotel. AO's face was full of guilt. After all, the entire mobile team did not catch a wounded killer, which was a bit unreasonable. Hee, how can a professional killer be caught so easily by you? Besides, this person is very familiar with the terrain of Gotham City, you don't have to blame yourself. Li Cheng waved his hand. The result now is perfect. The entire Daimao gang is retreating step by step, and New World is pressing step by step. If the reinforcements of the Big Hair gang cannot arrive in time, the New World can completely take over all the Big Hair gang territories in a short time. Ajin, how is the situation on your side now? Li Cheng thought for a while and asked in a deep voice. Brother, we have basically taken over the territory of the Big Hair gang, but we will also encounter some resistance. The remaining people on the opposite side seem to be hiding for the time being. Gao Jin frowned and said softly. Li Cheng's eyes flashed, and he touched his chin and thought carefully, it shouldn't be. Although the Big Hair gang suffered heavy losses, it is not without resistance. And there are still many Big Hair tribes in Gotham City, they will not stand idly by. Ajin, withdraw the people, Li Cheng said in a deep voice. His words surprised everyone. Now it is obvious that the New World has the upper hand, why should it withdraw the occupied territory? Brother, why? Shouldn't we take the opportunity to take over all the territory of the Big Hair gang? Crow scratched his head, with a huge gem ring on his finger that came from nowhere. Haha, the Daimao gang is now hiding in the back and firing black guns, while we are in the open. Besides, the Daimao gang has been operating there for many years. Do you really think we can easily beat them back? I'm afraid they are not afraid of us, but others. Li Cheng explained to his brothers. Brother, are you saying that someone is watching the fight? Zhang Dongzhou leaned forward and guessed. That's right, it seems that someone wants to use our New World as a gun, haha. But it's not a loss for us to evacuate now. New World captured the Daimao gang stronghold and immediately ransacked the strongholds. The gold bars, jewelry, and US dollars found in just 3 strongholds had an overall value of almost 200 million US dollars. The most important thing is that the New World's reputation in Gotham City and even the beautiful country has greatly increased. Everyone nodded in agreement and looked at the 10 gemstone rings on Crow's hand casually. Even Li Qing laughed and scolded, "Crow, you slut, do you want 10 more on your toes?" When everyone heard this, they all laughed, and the crow also touched his head and laughed. Li Qing shook his head. Crow always came up with tricks for him. "Okay," Ajin asked the brothers to withdraw immediately. "It has been hard these days. Let's all take a good rest," Li Qing said in a deep voice. Gao Jin nodded and said he would arrange it immediately. The group of people walked out of the villa, only Ao sat there with an embarrassed look on his face. "Brother, what should I do with Perkins?" Li Qing thought for a moment. Now that Perkins has entered the Continental Hotel, it is really hard to act rashly in the Continental Hotel. In this way, you send a message to your home in Southeast Asia. I want to see which cities in Southeast Asia have mainland hotels. As for Perkins, send someone to keep an eye on her. It's impossible for her to never leave the Continental Hotel. After all, Continental hotels are very expensive. Li Qing smiled. Perkins would come out sooner or later. "Okay, Ao, please go down and have a good rest." He could clearly see the tired look on Ao's face. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 345. Chinatown Hungmen General Hall. Tisk tisk, this Li Qing is really amazing. Fortunately, we didn't send anyone to the New World stronghold, otherwise it would be so embarrassing. Meng Sun was lying on a rocking chair, swaying and said. This time, Li Qing's fake death also fooled him. When he saw the big hair gang coming to pull down the flag, he thought Li Qing was really dead. Unexpectedly, it was a fake death, which made the big hair gang relax their vigilance, and then cut off the firewood from the bottom of the pot, and directly took down the big hair gang's nest. Young people nowadays are awesome, awesome. Grandpa, the New World members have now completely evacuated the big hair gang's territory. I don't quite understand his operation. The subordinate looked at Meng Sun and said. Most people don't understand Li Qing's operation, because most people only look at the problem from their own perspective. Haha, this Li Qing, you think he is very young by looking at his face, but he is a cunning fox inside. He was right to evacuate after getting the benefits. Normal people would think that they should pursue the victory, but they didn't fully analyze the real situation between the two. Objectively speaking, the foundation of the Big Mao Gang is not so weak. Although the New World is powerful, the Big Mao Gang will not survive more than one round. Especially since it has been operating for many years, the secret passages inside are all connected in all directions, not to mention other things, which can confuse the members of the New World. At least the withdrawal of the New World has made Alex's plan fail. Mafia, the subordinate said in surprise. Meng Sun nodded and stopped talking. The subordinate didn't understand why the Mafia was involved, but seeing that Grandpa closed his eyes, he didn't dare to ask more. At this time, Alex, who was mentioned by Meng Sun, was sulking in his room. Shit, timid Li Qing. He actually withdrew all the territory of the Big Mao Gang. What is he afraid of? Alex was a little furious. Originally, everything was the same as his script. The New World and the Big Mao Gang had friction and the two sides fought hard. According to the strength of the New World, it would definitely occupy the base of the Big Mao Gang and then fall into a tense battle. Finally, he took action to take over the territory of both parties and consolidate the position of the Mafia in Gotham City. Unexpectedly, Li Qing actually withdrew from the territory of the Big Hair Gang that he had occupied. The fat meat that was in his mouth, but the New World didn't want it, which made him never expect it. It's like a single dog took off his pants and clicked on the movie named 8 Beasts bullying a young woman in revealing clothes, and the result was the complete works of Calabash Brothers. The most important thing is that the snake demon's chest is still censored, which is simply real. Do you think these pants should be put on? Or continue? Alex is in such an embarrassing situation. People have been organized here, and the two sides on the other side said they would not fight. Forget it, it doesn't matter, Alex barely suppressed his anger. Even if Li Qing didn't take action, he would take advantage of the Big Hair Gang's losses this time to take over the entire Big Hair Gang territory in one fell swoop. In order to ensure that this time is foolproof, he also transferred some people from other states. This time, he would not give the Big Hair Gang a chance to turn over. Just after the New World members withdrew from the territory of the Big Hairy Gang, the Gotham City Mafia seamlessly connected and a large number of people entered the territory of the Big Hairy Gang. But the result was not as simple as they thought. At night, the Big Hairy Gang members came out from nowhere and opened fire on the Mafia members. The Mafia lost a lot of manpower due to their failure to investigate, but the Mafia members were not to be outdone. Once the secret passage was discovered, they began to pour tear gas. The Big Hairy Gang members hiding in the secret passage had to get out from another exit, but were instantly killed by the Mafia who had been waiting at the exit. The two sides began a crazy and anxious war in Manhattan, with casualties every day. At this time, everyone realized that the New World was the smartest one and withdrew from the place of right and wrong early. Perkins, who was recuperating in the hotel, had a hard time these days, although his wounds were slowly healing, and the gold coins in his hand were getting less and less. Now even going downstairs to have a drink has to be calculated carefully. After all, mainland hotels do not have the habit of giving change. She looked downstairs through the window, and several people immediately raised their middle fingers at her. Damn New World, are you a sticky person? She raised her middle finger in retaliation. This action was not once or twice. For a whole week, people from the New World were staring at her outside. And they didn't care to let her know. From the proficiency of several people raising their middle fingers, it was clear that they had been staring at her for more than 1 or 2 days. Fumbling with the gold coins in her hand, Perkins thought about countermeasures. She now had to find a way to go to her secret base to get the gold coins. As long as she got the gold coins, she could stay in the hotel for hundreds of days, and then slowly find a way to get rid of the New World and go to Europe. She also knew that the power of the New World had not yet expanded to Europe. Now I need to disguise myself. I hope the eyes of the people in the New World are not so good. Perkins sighed while touching her long brown-black hair. Outside the Continental Hotel, Crow and young Master squatted in the alley. Did that woman just raise her middle finger at us? Crow looked at young Master and asked in confusion. Today, Crow and Zhang Dongzhou came to the outside of the Continental Hotel to see the brothers of the mobile team. The Mafia and the Big Hair Gang are fighting fiercely now, and they have nothing to do at home, so they just came out for a walk. Brother Crow, don't be surprised, that woman provokes me every day. Are you so arrogant? Crow pointed his middle finger at Perkins' window several times, regardless of whether the other party could see it or not. Zhang Dongzhou came from the alley from a distance, holding a few hot dogs in his hand. Hey, stop talking and eat some. Several New World brothers squatted in a row on the roadbed and ate hot dogs. This Perkins is quite capable. He just stayed in the hotel and couldn't come out. If you ask me, I'll blow up the hotel first. Crow said as he took a big bite of the hot dog. Humph, you fool. What happens after the bombing? Declare war on the Continental Hotel? When will you use your brain? Zhang Dongzhou glanced at Crow and said. Crow was about to choke back when a woman coming out of the hotel in the distance caught his attention. Zhang Dongzhou looked at the Crow without replying and gave him a puzzled look. Following his gaze, he saw a woman with thinning hair and a pale face, who was obviously a patient, standing on the roadside and planning to hail a taxi. "What are you looking at?" Zhang Dongzhou couldn't see any difference in women. "Well, I always feel like I've seen it before somewhere. You know my eyes. A woman who is interested will never forget them." Crow pointed at his eyes and said proudly. After saying this, he was stunned. He suddenly remembered who the woman looked like just now. Her eyebrows and eyes looked very much like Perkins, who had just given the middle finger. "Oh, I almost got fooled by her." He quickly dropped the hot dog in his hand, took out the pistol from his waist, and stood up. "You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 346. "Who is it?" the young master asked curiously. "Perkins, damn, the woman in front is Perkins," Crow shouted loudly. Zhang Dongzhou also pulled out his pistol upon hearing the sound, dropped the hot dog in his hand, and chased after Crow. The young master was stunned, and quickly stood up and limped forward, but his legs were numb from squatting. "Perkins, brother Deo, stop." Perkins suddenly heard her name, and her heart sank. "Shit, I cut my hair, but I still couldn't fool the other side. Are there police dogs in the New World?" She didn't dare to hesitate to take out her pistol, turned around and shot. Crow was not to be outdone, and the pistol bang 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 was 3 shots, but unfortunately the accuracy was a bit poor, all the shots were outlined. Perkins didn't dare to waste time, and turned around and ran towards the Continental Hotel. Zhang Dongzhou and others behind also caught up, and shot at Perkins' back. Even the glass at the entrance of the Continental Hotel was shattered in an instant, but Perkins still entered the Continental Hotel. Damn it, Perkins threw off her high heels, and her calf was bitten by a bullet. The black receptionist Karen sighed. "Ms. Perkins, it seems that you have brought trouble to the Continental Hotel again. But it doesn't matter, the Continental Hotel will provide you with security." As soon as the voice fell, Zhang Dongzhou, Crow and others pushed the door open and walked in. The black receptionist Karen glanced at the broken glass, and then looked at Crow and others who walked in aggressively. "Is there anything I can do for you?" Zhang Dongzhou looked at the black man in front of him steadily. "There won't be a next time." Karen is also knowledgeable and doesn't care about Zhang Dongzhou's threats at all. The Continental Hotel has been threatened more than once in these years. Isn't it fine? The Continental Hotel represents far-reaching significance. Whoever dares to touch the Continental Hotel will represent the enemy of the high table. Few people dare to cross the high table. Zhang Dongzhou said nothing more, and Crow looked at Perkins, who was injured in the calf, and said, "Bitch, you can't escape my eyes." Perkins looked at Crow and others with a sullen face. This was the first time she had seen such a difficult enemy in all her years of work. "Hey, tell your boss Li Qing that I'm just a killer. If it's because I killed someone from the New World, I can compensate." Perkins' tone softened. She now regretted taking this mission very much, and yes, the last mission. She now finally understood why the last assassination mission of $5 million was hung on the mission list for a minute without anyone taking it. Crow showed his white teeth and smiled and said, "Bitch, the whole Southeast Asia knows that no one has killed someone from the New World and is still safe and sound. Wash your neck and wait, the Continental Hotel can't protect you." After that, he made a throat-cutting gesture to Perkins and turned away with Zhang Dongzhou and others. "Miss Perkins, I'm afraid you need to have a chat with Winston." Karen could clearly see the murderous intent in the eyes of the other party. These people were already very dissatisfied with the Continental Hotel. He didn't know what actions these people would take later. "And the protection we can provide you is only 2 days." Karen looked at the 2 gold coins on the bar, and then looked at Perkins' calf. "Oh, one day, after all, I still have to find a doctor for you, right?" "Damn, where is Winston?" "I want to see him," Perkins asked in pain. "Bar, corner." Karen shook his head at the limping Perkins. The bar downstairs was not as noisy as other bars, and the music played was also gentle blues. People just sat together and played poker cards. Perkins limped to the corner without attracting anyone's attention, or others didn't care. In the corner sat a middle-aged man in his 50s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, well-dressed, and with a glass of fruit wine next to him. "Let me see who this is." "Miss Perkins." Winston put down the magazine in his hand, took off his glasses and looked at Perkins. "Damn it, Winston, you have to help me this time." Perkins took the fruit wine on the table and drank it all. "Oh? Perkins, are you in trouble?" "This glass of wine is a gold coin," Winston pointed to the empty glass and said. "Damn Grandad, my gold coins are at home." Winston looked down at Perkins' bleeding calf. "Miss Perkins, you'd better find a doctor to take out the bullet." "Hey, Winston, only you can save me now." "Miss Perkins, as long as you have gold coins, the Continental Hotel is your safe house." "You know, all my gold coins are at home." Winston shrugged his shoulders and said he was powerless. Perkins stood up and looked at Winston disappointedly. If this person didn't help him, she really couldn't leave the hotel. "Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Miss Perkins, I still owe you a gold coin for the last drink. I remember that the hotel has a special car to take you back. Have a nice day." Winston raised his empty glass and gestured. Perkins nodded to show that he understood. "It seems that there is a reason why the Continental Hotel in Gotham City is so popular." After Zhang Dongzhou and Crow returned to the villa, they told the whole story from beginning to end. "Brother, we have given enough face to this Continental Hotel, but this time it is still so tactless. Do you want to?" Zhang Dongzhou said in a low voice. Li Qing didn't say anything, squinting his eyes and thinking. His original intention was to have nothing to do with the Continental Hotel, and he had given the Continental Hotel enough face by letting Perkins go last time. He didn't expect it to be like this again this time. If that's the case, let's have a fight. Let the explosion beads make some flowers. I want to see how the Continental Hotel can abide by their rules, Li Qing said in a deep voice. "Hey, big brother, rest assured that he will be arranged clearly." Crow rubbed his hands excitedly. At this time, a younger brother hurried in and whispered in Li Qing's ear. "Big brother, the brothers who are watching the Continental Hotel sent a message saying that Perkins got on the Continental Hotel's car and left." Li Qing smiled. "We have to have a fight after all. Let the young master and the others get rid of Perkins, and don't worry about the Continental Hotel from now on." Since he gave face to Brother Tan and the Continental Hotel didn't cover it, it's not his fault. When the young master received the order, he was driving behind the Continental Hotel's special car. Fortunately, there is a rocket launcher in the car, otherwise there would be no way to deal with the bulletproof car on the opposite side. "Ahua, let's move over, and you can shoot them later." The driver of the Continental Hotel's special car looked at the business car slowly approaching from behind and smiled disdainfully. "Miss Perkins, don't be afraid, the other side dare not do anything. Besides, this car is bulletproof." Perkins frowned and glanced at the black Mercedes-Benz business car approaching from behind. She felt a little uneasy. Although no gang dared to fight with the Continental Hotel so far, organizations like the New World could not be judged by common sense. Before she thought more, the black business car accelerated and instantly surpassed the Continental Hotel's special car by dozens of meters. Perkins didn't know what the other side was doing, but it was definitely not a good thing, so he took out a pistol and held it in his hand. The back door of the Mercedes-Benz business car slowly opened, and a man carrying a rocket launcher appeared in front of the two. Perkins could even clearly see the red paint on the rocket, as red as blood. The moment Perkins saw the rocket, her heart almost stopped beating, and her pupils shrank sharply. The driver's face turned pale, and he lost his composure. He trembled and said, "What do they want to do?" Boom! The rocket whizzed towards the bulletproof car. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wan Qing Buletin Liang. Chapter 347. Perkins knew it was too late to jump out of the car, so he could only roll under the seat. The model of the rocket on the opposite side was a light armor-piercing bullet. Although it would penetrate the bulletproof car, it would not cause the car to explode. The driver of the special car did not react like this. In the blink of an eye, the rocket was close at hand. "Thank you." The rocket directly penetrated the chassis of the bulletproof car, and the huge explosive force caused the moving car to flip over. "Ha!" Hit Ahua patted the son's shoulder and signaled him to slow down. The son also smiled and slowed down, turning and driving towards the bulletproof car that was overturned not far away. After a while, the car stopped not far from the bulletproof car. The quality of the bulletproof car is very good. From the front, there is only a black hole the size of a basketball, and the tail of the rocket can be vaguely seen. It seems that the armor-piercing bullet in the front has hit the car, and half of the driver's body can be seen through the windshield. Ahua picked up the gun and got out of the car, intending to check it out. He must confirm whether Perkins is really dead. "Hey, Ahua," the young master shook his head gently. The last time, several of them had fought with Perkins. They couldn't beat this woman alone. There are 3 rockets left. Use them all first. Perkins, who was half dead in the bulletproof car, heard the young master's words faintly. "Bitch, shit. Fighting Afghanistan? Bringing so many rockets?" He no longer hesitated, and kicked the car door open without saying a word and shot at the other party. Ding ding ding. The bullets hit the car, making a crisp sound. The young master and Ahua looked at Perkins, who came out, and they were not to be outdone and fired a burst of bullets with their guns. Perkins used the bulletproof car as a cover and fought back. She looked at the only magazine left in her hand with a grim face. This time, she was afraid that she would have to die here. Suddenly, a round object was thrown over. "Shit, grenade." Perkins only had time to lie down, and the grenade exploded not far from her. Countless steel balls scattered and hit the bulletproof car, making a ding-ding-ding sound. Following several more grenades, Perkins had no place to hide now, and a shrill scream came out of her mouth. The whole body was blown up like a rag doll, and she fell to the ground miserably, with only exhalation but no inhalation in her mouth. Mr. Gongzi and Ahua carefully surrounded from both sides, and breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Perkins on the ground, who had no power to resist. They finally got it done. "Hey, Perkins, the Continental Hotel can't save you, go with peace of mind." Mr. Gongzi smiled and looked at Perkins, who was dying on the ground. Perkins stared at Gongzi and Ahua with his remaining eyeball viciously. "I'm waiting for you in hell. The Continental Hotel won't let you go, and neither will the high table. Bitch, it's a pity you can't see it anymore." Gongzi looked at Perkins with contempt, raised the gun in his hand and blew her head off. Then Gongzi said contemptuously, "Continental Hotel? Ha!" At Li Qing's villa, at the same time, Li Qing received the news of Perkins' death. This time he had to fight the Continental Hotel openly. "Ajin, go to Bali district to find Bowery, king of the beggar gang, and buy all the information about Gotham City Hotel. Remember, everything," Li Qing said seriously. Gao Jin responded quickly. The name beggar gang was given by Li Qing to the Bali district gang, because the composition of this gang is similar to the beggar gang in Chinese martial arts novels, and it makes a living by begging on the surface. In fact, it is an underground information station, and any movement in Gotham City cannot be hidden from it. Almost all the beggars in Gotham City are members of the Beggars Gang. They use the most primitive way, pigeons, to transmit information. Half an hour later, Gao Jin stood beside Li Qing with a difficult expression. "Brother, Bowery said he wanted to meet you and would sell the news to us after the meeting." Zhang Dongzhou next to him frowned and glared at Gao Jin. "Ah Jin, you and brother have been together for more than 1 or 2 days. It's so dangerous that you can't let." Li Qing raised his hand to interrupt Zhang Dongzhou's words. He knew what Zhang Dongzhou meant and didn't want to put himself in danger. But he was also very interested in Bowery and his Beggars Gang, so he simply agreed. "Okay, then we will set off immediately to meet the leader of the Beggars Gang, haha." The group drove to the Bali district, which is a typical slum area, full of homeless people and unemployed vagrants. Some gangsters with metal chains stood on the side of the road in 2s and 3s to chat. As soon as Li Qing and others got off the car, they felt that several pairs of eyes were staring at them. Humph! Crow unbuttoned his suit unsatisfiedly, revealing the gun bag on his waist, and there were fewer such eyes. Gao Jin walked up to a beggar on the ground and said, "Hey, tell Bowery that my big brother is here." The beggar with the scraggly beard on the ground looked up at Gao Jin, picked up the broken bowl in his hand and shook it. Gao Jin took out $100 bill from his pocket and put it in the bowl. "Follow me." The beggar put the $100 in his pocket, stood up and gestured to Li Qing and others. The beggar led a group of people, twisted and turned in the alley, and finally came to an abandoned factory and knocked on the iron gate. After waiting for a while, the iron gate opened, and a sturdy black man walked out, with a messy gray beard, no different from a homeless person on the street. "Hey, Li, hello." My friend Bowery stretched out his hand, intending to shake hands with Li Qing. Although it was the first time they met, it was obvious that Bowery was very happy. "Bowery? Hello." Li Qing also extended his hand and shook it vigorously. Then Bowery took him to visit his factory, or to show off his achievements. The table was full of US dollars, and 2 Casita business counting machines were running desperately, which shocked Crow, who was used to seeing piles of US dollars. So many. Then he walked forward and began to observe, and then, nothing happened because most of the piles of US dollars were small denominations of $1 or $5. It looked spectacular, but there was actually not much money. Behind him was a group of beggars queuing up to offer sacrifices. Looking at the small denomination bills in their hands, you can know where the money on the table came from. After all, it is generally impossible to beg for large denomination bills. Further in, 2 people were using SC-22 coin sorting machines to distinguish and classify coins of different denominations. Bowery was very generous to his men, and one of his men muttered to Bowery for a while. He casually picked up a bunch of $100 bills on the table and threw them over. "How's that, my friend, isn't he magnificent?" Bowery said, pointing at the entire chain. Li Qing also raised his eyebrow, nodded, and said perfunctorily, "Well, it's amazing. Beggars Gang does have its own unique features, but not much. Just now, a piece of news was worth 10,000 US dollars. These little things in front of us are all used to deceive people, just like the protection fee collected by the New World. The main income of the Beggars Gang is still selling news. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 348. Bowery took Li Qing to the rooftop, pointed to a pile of pigeon cages and said, "Li, this is my phone number. They are my wealth. Each one is worth thousands of gold." After speaking, he took a pigeon in his hand and stroked it gently, as if he were stroking his own child. Li Qing didn't say anything, but sat on the chair and looked at Bowery with a half-smile. "Tell me, do you have anything to say to me?" Bowery felt as if he had been seen through, and awkwardly let go of the pigeon in his hand. "Li, we all live under the rules of the high table, Don't you want freedom? Bowery revealed his true intention. No, no, no. Bowery, you made a mistake. You live under the rules of the high table. I only live under my own rules. No organization, no one can make the new world surrender. Li Qing stretched out his index finger and waved it. Bowery shrugged. Okay, you're asking about the Continental Hotel. I know there's a conflict between your new world and the Continental Hotel. But what you don't know is that the Continental is just the tip of the high table iceberg. Li Qing became interested when he heard this. I'd like to hear the details. When watching the movie in his last life, he was in a fog. This time, through Bowery's narration, Li Qing truly understood the structure of the high table. High table is also called high table or high table meeting. The elders have the most power in the structure. The exact number of elders is unknown. Under the elders is the high table. There are 12 seats in the high table, all of which are the leaders of the largest forces in the world. The 12 high tables are in opposition to each other, and it is precisely because of the high table that the relationship between them can be checked and balanced. Below are the continental hotels in various places, which are service organizations in the high table. In principle, they operate independently and do not interfere with each other. On the surface, the Continental Hotel is the reception for killers, but in fact it also has its own team of killers that directly serve the hotel. Therefore, the manager of the Continental Hotel also has a lot of power, but the power is under the high table. Hey, Lee, do you want to hear something different? Bowery said with a smile. Li Qing glanced at him, took out a check from his pocket, and filled in a few numbers on the check. There's no such thing as a free lunch, I understand. Li Qing put the check on the table. Bowery glanced at the numbers on the check and his face twitched involuntarily. Then I have to accept it? This is money to buy information about the Gotham Continental Hotel. Shit. The two got back to business, and Bowery stuffed the check into his pocket. Actually, there are two special positions between the elders and the high table, judge and forerunner. 12 members need to be half a level higher. What do they do? Li Qing asked curiously. Oh, sorry, Li. I don't know either. So far, I don't have any news from them. Bowery said he didn't know either, but had heard of these two positions from some people. Li Qing glanced at Bowery and said with a smile, okay, Bowery, thank you for clarifying my doubts. I think you have prepared the detailed information of Gotham Continental Hotel for us. Of course, my friend. Bowery clapped his hands as someone placed a brown paper bag on the table in front of Li Qing. Gao Jin stepped forward and opened it and looked through it. There were detailed structural drawings of the Gotham Continental Hotel. After checking it, he nodded to his elder brother Li Qing. It's an honor to meet you, see you next time. Li Qing stood up with a smile and said goodbye to Bowery. The two shook hands again, and Li Qing turned around and left. Bowery looked at Li Qing's back and muttered in a low voice, Li, you will eventually cooperate with me. The rules of the high table cannot be broken. In the Continental Hotel, Winston has received the news that the Continental Hotel's special car has been intercepted. Well, no one has dared to go against the Continental Hotel for a long time. Winston took off his glasses. The rules are set by the high table and cannot be broken. Now we have officially declared war with the New World and put all the backbones of the New World on the reward list. Winston said lightly, not taking the New World seriously at all. Mr. Winston, are you sure? Sure. His men moved very quickly and quickly put the key members of the New World on the bounty list. At the same time, all the killers in Gotham City received the message. OMG, is this the second fight between the Continental Hotel and the gang? Yes, the last time was the Razor Party 20 years ago. In the end, all the Razor Party members were killed. New World? The one in Southeast Asia. It should be a regional overlord. Hey, there's something good to watch this time. Few gangsters dare to provoke the Continental Hotel. The killers in the Continental Hotel were discussing one after another, but they were constantly grabbing orders. This kind of money is not earned in vain. I grabbed one called Crow. What a weird name. Is this Tianyanjin a woman? Maid, it's so valuable. Each one is worth more than 50 gold coins. The gun exchange on the second underground floor of the Continental Hotel was also overcrowded. All of them were killers who bought some firearms and bullets after receiving the mission. About an hour later, some killers were arrogantly planning to start a big fight and pushed open the door of the hotel that had just been repaired. At this time, the commanding heights around the Continental Hotel have been completely occupied by the New World. Now there are at least 20 sniper rifles aiming at the Continental Hotel. Get ready for action, each of you find a good target, AO said immediately as he watched several killers in the high-power scope walk out of the door. Received. At 8 o'clock, the bald head is mine. Long hair is mine. The peaked cap is mine. Okay, free shooting. AO heard that the targets were determined and directly issued a shooting order. Hey, the one I grabbed is a guy named Chiugang Ao, who doesn't look very good at fighting. Mine is a guy named Beizhu, who should be playing with bombs. The killers who walked out of the hotel door laughed and chatted. This time, the Continental Hotel issued a mission and they didn't have to worry about their dishes being taken away. Bald, what about yours? The bald head was about to speak, but his head was instantly pierced by a bullet. The bullet entered from the forehead and made a big hole in the back of his head. Blood mixed with brain matter sprayed all over the faces of the surrounding killers. But they were too late to be surprised, because almost at the same time, they were also hit in the head by sniper bullets. At this time, some killers who were walking out of the hotel ran back to the hotel. Sniper, there is a sniper at the door of the hotel. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 349. The assassins in the hall were not panicking, but through the glass door of the hotel, they could see several dead assassins lying on the ground. Some assassins also took out sniper rifles from their gun boxes and hid in dark corners, looking in the direction of the sniper point. Damn it! They found the existence of the New World sniper in the high-power scope, but there was no way to fight back. Because each sniper point was covered with a bunker, the sniper was surrounded by thick steel plates, and there was no place to hit the opponent. Obviously, the opponent was prepared. Winston's calm face fluctuated slightly. The opponent's posture was obviously to surround him to death. Karen took them out of the secret passage. Winston thought for a while and said, "Now we must send the assassin out to solve the sniper problem." "Okay, sir." Karen walked in the secret passage for a long time with more than a dozen assassins, and finally saw the exit of the secret passage. "Gentlemen, open the iron gate to the Bali area." Karen took out the key from his arms and opened the rusty iron gate with difficulty. The killers walked out of the iron gate carefully, but they were greeted by Crow's flamethrower. "Hey, bro. Taste my big baby." The blazing flames gushed out from the nozzle of the flamethrower, instantly igniting the killer's clothes. This time Crow learned his lesson and had someone fill it with thick gasoline. A steady stream of flames gushed out, and more than a dozen killers fell into the sea of fire, wailing constantly. Scared, Karen immediately closed the iron gate and locked it. The rest of the people followed Karen and fled back to the Continental Hotel in a hurry. Winston saw Karen with a panicked face. "What's wrong, Karen? Is there something wrong with the secret passage?" Karen calmed down. "Mr. Winston, the entrance to the secret passage is guarded by people from the New World." Winston was stunned when he heard this. How could they know the exit of the secret passage? The secret passage has not been activated for more than 10 years, and ordinary people cannot know the location of the secret passage. It seems that Li Qing had planned it long ago, and he actually found the location of the secret passage. Winston's heart kept sinking. The other party had already calculated everything and seemed to be trying to surround and kill them in the hotel. This move was really vicious and cruel. Winston could already imagine the situation of the assassins rebelling in a few days. If they were surrounded but not attacked, everyone would collapse in a few days, not to mention that the food available in the hotel was not enough to last for 2 days. At night, take advantage of the night to start the breakout. Winston thought for a while and said, let someone destroy all the surrounding street lights. Karen nodded and hurried down to make arrangements. Late at night, all the lights inside the Continental Hotel were turned off, and the assassins in dark clothes began to prepare for action. The street lights outside the hotel were all damaged, and it could be said that it was pitch dark. Even if the other side had night vision goggles, it would be impossible for so many people to be completely sniped, so the success rate of this breakout was very high. Winston smiled as he watched the assassins walk out of the hotel one after another. Karen, assassins are the kings of the dark night. As long as these assassins go out, they will turn the whole new world upside down. Winston raised his glass and clinked it with Karen, as if he had already won. At the same time, the assassins walked out of the hotel cautiously, crouching down. As expected, there were no snipers. In their opinion, the other side might not have night vision goggles. After most people came out, swoosh. 5 searchlights lit up and illuminated the entrance of the hotel like daylight. The assassins unconsciously used their arms to block the dazzling scenery. Ka 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 ka. The bullet chain of the heavy machine gun collided. When the group got used to the light, they saw a heavy machine gun standing a few dozen meters away. Da-da-da, the sound of the machine gun rang out, constantly harvesting the lives of the assassins like the god of death. Winston looked pale as he watched the assassins fall like wheat outside the hotel. Even the hand holding the wine glass began to tremble. How dare he? This is not the Middle East, this is Gotham. Winston couldn't believe why the New World dared to be so bold. Aren't they afraid of the police? Aren't they afraid of the High Table? Only a dozen assassins outside the hotel escaped, and almost all of them were injured. Half an hour later, the younger brothers on the New World side saw that no one came out again, and began to carry the bodies one by one onto the truck and transport them away. I don't know where I found a sprinkler truck, which turned around and cleaned the ground. It is estimated that the Gotham City Police Department will come and find nothing. The assassins just looked at it in frustration. Now they don't even have the courage to shoot cold guns. The New World's repeated operations have completely defeated the assassins' courage. Damn it, Winston said angrily. The New World's methods frightened him. Those assassins died too carelessly and did not use their assassination methods at all. There is a saying that all conspiracies and tricks are not as good as firepower coverage. Although the killer is an expert in assassination, he may not be as good as a normal soldier in actual war. Winston looked solemn and lowered his head to think for a moment, then glanced at Karen. Give the task to the killer outside the hotel and let them get rid of the sniper. Everyone's eyes lit up. This is a good idea. As long as the sniper outside is solved, there will be no problem for them to get out. Wait for us to get out, and the New World will wait for death. A group of killers all had hope. Even if the mission failed, they had never been so embarrassed. This time, they must teach New World a lesson. After the assassins outside the hotel got the news, they all rushed to the vicinity of the Continental Hotel. They were all professionals and knew where the sniper points were. They took advantage of the night to sneak up. But what they didn't know was that New World had been prepared. Each sniper was protected by 8-10 people. It was wishful thinking for 2 or 3 people to kill the sniper. As expected, The assassins who assassinated the sniper were all shot by the New World brothers who suddenly rushed out. Bitch. After getting the news, Winston grabbed his hair and roared. Snipers, the location of the secret door, the night breakout plan, were resolved by the opponent again and again, and he was directly eaten to death. Winston tried his best to calm himself down. Ask for help? Continental hotels in various places are independent. Even if you send out a call for help, the other party may not support you. The only way now is to report the incident to the high table, but this will undoubtedly make the high table lower its own evaluation, and then lower the rating of the Continental Hotel in Gotham City. If things go wrong, it will even cancel his operating rights to the Continental Hotel. This is what he doesn't want to see. Winston also felt a little regretful, especially for sending a special car from the Continental Hotel to Perkins, which obviously broke the rules. Because Perkins had no gold coins at that time, but he still did it, which obviously angered Li Cheng. Winston sat on the sofa, holding his chin and thinking for a long time. Karen, find Li Cheng's contact information, I want to talk to him. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 350. Late at night, the phone on Li Cheng's bedside table suddenly rang, which was particularly harsh in the quiet room. Li Cheng picked up the phone and looked at it. It was an unfamiliar number, but the person who could find his phone number must not be an ordinary person. He picked up the phone and answered the call. Good evening, Mr. Li Cheng. I am Winston, the person in charge of Gotham Continental Hotel. The steady voice of a middle-aged man came from the phone. Li Cheng raised his eyebrows and smiled. Hey, are you not dead yet? Winston. After a moment of silence, Winston coughed lightly. Mr. Li Cheng, I think both of us can sit down and talk. We could have avoided this conflict. Winston, it's you who didn't cherish the opportunity. No one can kill people in the New World and escape punishment. Not even the Continental Hotel. Li Cheng narrowed his eyes and his tone suddenly became cold. Winston on the other side pursed his lips. Mr. Li Cheng, you should know that the high table is behind the Continental Hotel. Do you really want to start a war? Winston's tone was slightly threatening. He didn't think Li Cheng would rashly offend the 12 members of the high table. It is unwise to fight against 12 world-renowned organizations alone. Hey, I didn't fight at the Continental Hotel for the first time. I gave face to the high table. Not to you. Or do you really think that the high table will conflict with me for a Continental Hotel in Gotham City? Li Cheng's words instantly made Winston sober up. As the overlord of the Southeast Asian gangs, New World is afraid that a word can completely destroy more than a dozen continental hotels in Southeast Asia. Will the high table really give up all the continental hotels in Southeast Asia because of its own continental hotel? Until the busy tone sounded on the phone, Winston came back to his senses. It turned out that he was narrow-minded. He always thought that the Gotham Continental Hotel had the support of the high table, and the high table would definitely not allow anyone to break its rules. Karen, have someone sort out the materials of the New World. I want to see them right away. Winston had never really understood the New World organization. He wanted to see how powerful the New World was. Karen moved quickly. Half an hour later, a thick stack of information about the New World was placed in front of Winston. Winston took off his glasses and took a look in surprise. So much. Mr. Winston, I only took the important part, not the others. Winston was speechless for a moment, and picked up the information on the table and studied it carefully. The more he looked, the more depressed he felt. The New World was fully capable of paralyzing the Continental Hotel in Southeast Asia. In addition, the New World has cooperated with other internationally renowned gangs, and the high table may not all stand on his side. This reminded him of a saying that rules are rules for the weak, and the strong are never bound by rules. At this time, the mobile team outside the Continental Hotel was placing remote-controlled bombs. Because of the structural diagram of the Continental Hotel provided by the Beggar Gang, the remote-controlled bombs were placed at the weakest part of the wall of the Continental Hotel. New World has given up the plan to siege and kill. According to Li Qing's instructions, they plan to break through the Continental Hotel and fight a quick battle. Although there will be some casualties, the longer the time drags on, the more unfavorable the situation will be. No one knows when the reinforcements of the Continental Hotel will arrive. Team 1 is deployed, over. Team 2, over. Team 3. AO looked at his watch. It was 3:15 in the morning. The battle had to be completed before dawn. Follow my command, 3, 2, 1. Detonate. Continuous roars sounded, and several large holes were blown out of the Continental Hotel effortlessly. Go, the members of the New World put on night vision goggles, fully armed and holding guns, and began to rush towards the hotel. Da gunshots rang out, and some killers in the Continental Hotel were hit by bullets before they could react. Other killers reacted quickly, but most of the pistol bullets hit the bulletproof vests and bulletproof helmets, and did not cause major casualties to the fully armed New World members. Mr. Winston, let's evacuate underground first and then think of a solution, Karen whispered. When the black man Karen heard the gunshots outside, he knew that the New World had already entered. He could still hide underground for a while. After all, there was an alloy door, and the New World could not be blown up in a short time. Winston stood up with a gloomy face. Vengeance. As expected of Li Qing. Let's go. He had heard that the New World was as difficult to deal with as superglue, and now he finally saw it. Winston took people to hide underground, and the alloy door slowly closed. He could still vaguely hear the footsteps coming from outside the door. Winston's hair, which was always well groomed, was now messy like weeds. Damn Perkins, why don't you offend someone else? Bitch. He now regretted his actions. His biased actions in the past did receive some feedback from some killers, such as blood contracts. Who knew that this time it would cause such a big disaster? Boom! The explosion shook the chandelier above his head a little. The alloy door on the other side started to explode. Mr. Winston, do you want to report to the high table? Karen looked at the alloy door with a trembling heart, not knowing how long it could hold out. Winston was silent for a moment. I'll call Jaina. Karen nodded silently, holding a gun and standing guard around Winston. The full name of Gianna in Winston's mouth is Gianna Antonio, the head of the Camorra family. The Camorra family is one of the three major families of the Italian mafia. She also has a special identity, that is, one of the 12 members of the High Table. She is also the member of the High Table closest to Gotham City, so Winston asked her for help. Winston? How do you have time to call me? Gianna asked curiously on the other end of the phone. Under normal circumstances, the person in charge of the Continental Hotel will not take the initiative to contact the members of the High Table unless they encounter troubles that they cannot solve. But this situation is rare. After all, the person in charge of the Continental Hotel also has his own group of people. Winston licked his slightly chapped lips. Gianna, I'm in trouble. Winston narrated the conflict with the New World from beginning to end. Facing Winston's request to negotiate with Li Qing, Jaina on the other end of the phone was silent for a long time. Winston, I can only say give it a try, and I can't guarantee success. As the leader of the Camorra family, Jaina certainly knows some details about the New World, and they know more than others at this level. She even heard some of the discussions about the New World in the meeting of the 5 permanent members. She was not sure that she could convince Li Qing. But she couldn't shirk this matter. After all, she was a member of the High Table and she should come forward in this matter.